I asked you via email several weeks ago if you had a magic wand and could solve any technical or performance issue, what would you use it for? I got some terrific responses, and one was from Aubrey, and she said, my magic wand would show me how to have a bigger, more impactful stage presence and would whisk away my problem of losing my singing technique when met with the nerves of performing in front of others. Aubrey, be assured you are in a very large club. I am probably sergeant at arms of this club myself. We sing because we want to share and make an impact on the folks listening. And I've been singing and studying for 30 years now, and I still lose access to my conscious technique when I'm in front of folks. So these two desires, to make an impact when we're sharing our singing live and to be able to access our tools when we're doing it, these are universal for singers. And I'm going to give you several tools that will give you confidence and skill to serve your audience with beauty and wholeheartedness and to make singing a satisfying experience for you and your listeners too. Hey there, if you are new here, my name is Dan Calloway. I teach musical theater voice and vocal pedagogy at Boston Conservatory at Berkeley. More than 25 years kicking around on equity stages and more than 15 years helping folks get to work on Broadway, national tours in the regions and around the world. And I am very glad you were here with me today. I got to give a TED Talk a few weeks ago and it went really well. I was very relieved and it was really fun. And when I was doing it, my heart was pounding, and there were a couple of moments mid-talk when this encroaching feeling of what I define as potential terror knocked at my mental door. But I'd practiced in front of folks whose opinions I cared about, and one group was my grad students, and I remembered what they asked me as I prepared in front of them. They said, "Can you feel your feet? Can you hear sounds in the room? Can you feel the space around you, or can you be aware of the space in front of you, beside you, behind you, above you, below you?" They were taking their Alexander technique work and reminding their teacher how to use it. So I was very grateful. We've got some really great teachers coming out of Boston Conservatory, and I'm very proud of them. So I used that reminder before I walked on stage, and it helped me open my heart and connect to the folks in the room. I shared the ideas I most wanted to share. I believe they were worth sharing, as TED's tagline states, but there were many things I had to put in place in order to stand on that red dot with confidence. And there were a lot of steps that allowed me to define my pounding heart and my quickened breath as excitement and adrenaline rather than panic. And these tools apply to you as a singer too. So first of all, part one of Aubrey's question, stage presence. Stage presence. It is not a thing you can manufacture, not in the work harder way we often try to achieve results. Stage presence, or just presence, we call it stage presence because you're on a stage, but it's just your presence. Your presence and the warmth of it comes from an offer of hospitality. And what I mean is, you understand that your heart is like a big, nourishing meal or a dinner party that you have prepared with love, and you get to invite folks in to enjoy. This requires two things. This requires, number one, a meal you want to share and the warmth in your heart to welcome folks in. If you burned the stew you've been simmering all day, you can, of course, order pizza and still have a celebration, but you still have to have confidence in what you're serving. This means you are well prepared. This means you are well prepared. If you're going into a performance situation and you're not prepared, you have every good reason not to feel confident. That is a sane assessment of the circumstances. So I rehearsed my TED Talk on every train commute, walking down the street looking like I was talking to an imaginary crowd, And in my head, when I held the boys' hands at bedtime, I had to give my brain the cognitive difficulty of remembering the words and connecting the ideas. And I was driven by what? Fear. Absolutely. I was driven by fear. I did not want to stand on the stage and experience the abject, blank brain horror that comes when you're adrenalized and don't have access to your full cognitive function. So I knew I had one shot to do this talk well, and I wanted it to be decent. So, as someone myself with a raging TED diction, I call it my TED diction, I wanted mine I wanted my talk that I had the chance to give to help folks and to be cogent. So stage presence and charisma emerge as products of preparation. I just recently learned that the kids call it Riz, Rizz, Riz. Yeah. So if you want the Riz, this is how you do it. So charisma, this means your skill is at a level where you feel like you can share at a high standard, and you've invested the amount of rehearsal and practice so that the meal you're serving up is running in your procedural memory. That's like you're riding a bike memory. That's your driving a manual transmission memory. Yeah. This requires repetition. This requires cognitive rigor, and it requires lots of nights of sleep so that your brain can organize all of it into your deep knowing. And along with preparation, you need warmth. So, warmth comes from the desire to serve, to share, to tell folks they're not alone. Whatever your deepest need in life is, it could be healing, love, connection, being seen. When it's your turn to share, that's what you get to offer. In my life, I've needed to know that healing is available and that I'm loved no matter what. That truth infuses my teaching, my sharing, my singing. That is what I want folks to know. So I try to be conscious of that, and I try to give that away. So after I'm prepared, I try to open my heart and share that. And at the heart of presence is the direction of the energy. So yes, when you sing, there is an outflow of generosity. You're sharing something from your heart. So this flows out like water from a spring, naturally and beautifully. It is not something that you foist onto someone. So think about if you walk onto a car sales lot. You need a car and you're actively looking. So salesperson one approaches, is it little buddy foo-foo? Salesperson one approaches and says, "What will it take for me to have you driving away in one of these beauties today?" And they're very aggressive. They probably have very strong fragrance on or something. So how does that make you feel? It doesn't make me feel super comfortable to look for a car. So what if salesperson two approaches and maybe they're like, a car or two distance away, and they say, "Hey, welcome in. I'm here if you need me." So who are you more inclined to engage in a large purchase transaction like an automobile? Yeah, I would want to engage with salesperson number two. That would be my vibe. Singers get told that we need to stand out and we need to make an impact and we need to find our individual voice or brand. And we immediately believe when we're told that we're in a competition. We have to stand out because we have to compete. So don't get me wrong. There are elements of competition. Yes. In theater singing, for example, there's often one role and many singers. So the not enough to go around story feels very real. But when we're focused in that way, number one, it cuts off all possibilities of the work you might create and share that doesn't depend on the commercial theater to give you a job. And number two, you enter the singer Hunger Games where you try tricks to be more memorable than all the people around you. And so I feel stressed just explaining that. And you can do the math on this. This just puts you right in pushy land. You're the car salesperson working only on commission. You're the person trying really hard at a party, noticing the person that you're trying to chat up keeps looking over your shoulder for a conversation lifeline. You're like, why are they looking around the room? You know, you're that person. trying to like hold attention. So the direction of presence looks out to the person you're singing for, the person you want to serve with a story and a song, and in turn, you invite them inside for this delicious meal you've prepared. And I even want to say, when I say this delicious meal you've prepared, I feel like you might even think, well, maybe it's not a delicious meal. Maybe I don't feel confident with what I've prepared. Maybe I don't want to invite people inside. And I get that. And I think this is something that you just have to practice and try and just try it. You don't even have to trust it, but do it like an experiment. Say, okay, I'm going to welcome folks in and see what the result of that is. I think you'll be surprised at what you find, because I think everybody has something that I think they have a lot of things that we'd like to put behind closed doors that we don't want anybody to see. What I always tell students is that when you invite someone inside, folks can't see what it's not their business to see. People just know whether or not they're invited in. So I want to invite you into that, because as I said that, I just felt a response of like, I don't want to invite people inside. And I just want to encourage you to try that in small experiments. Take small risks and then see what the outcome is of that. And I think you'll build confidence in that direction. So if you're in front of a large audience, you're still singing for a room full of individual hearts. So you are still singing one-to-one. But the active presence, like I just said, is one of inner welcome. You are the only you there is. No one has the heart you have, so you're the only one who can welcome folks into your inimitable self. It's inimitable, and it transcends the flimsy notion of competition. It completely obliterates, and it just makes competition a non-factor. Warmth and presence means, like I just said, it means you welcome inside. You host with love. You make people feel at home. Back in the day when I studied song interpretation and scene study with Betty Buckley, she called this transaction heart to heart, where the heart of the singer reaches out in connection to each heart in the theater, trusting that each person knows something of what this story is about on an experiential level. When I saw Betty Buckley play Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard, I was a teenage kid. I didn't know anything about being a washed-up silent film star in 1940s Hollywood, but I knew all about the fear of being forgotten or feeling insignificant. So I'd say Betty is a presence master, and that comes from a lot of meditation. She's a meditator, and a lot of preparation. This woman works hard. I've gotten to witness her work ethic a couple of times, and it's really impressive. So she would lovingly yell at us in class when anyone said, I'm nervous. She'd say, you are not nervous. You are highly adrenalized. So you're not nervous. You're highly adrenalized. And that will segue us to the next part of the question. Now, what about technique when your adrenaline, when nerves come in? How do I do this complicated thing called singing while my palms sweat, my heart races, my mouth goes dry, and my breath feels like it only reaches down to my clavicle? So that's a tricky one too. To this day, I lose access to a large chunk of my conscious technical ability when I'm in front of people. I'm aware that I'm being observed, and I am adrenalized. So the answer to this question, and the only one I know how to still access technical skill when highly adrenalized, it's preps and reps. Preps and reps. When my heart was pounding as I was being introduced for my TED Talk, I told myself, it's in there. You have to trust now. And I could say that because I had put in the preparation. Not on the schedule I hoped to. I still procrastinated and started memorizing my talk about a week after I hoped to, but I still made the time that I had left work. When you're singing, you need to practice singing in front of folks. If you're a theater singer, that's the point, to share it. You have to practice in front of folks. So get friends together and air out your material. You can hit open mics and karaoke. You can make a friend stop and listen to you sing along with the YouTube track. So opportunities are endless. There are countless times when my technical execution failed in front of people. I have cracked, my hands have shaken, my knees have trembled, I have forgotten lyrics, I have psychologically shut down into utter self-conscious paralysis. None of that was fun. Half of those times happened, and I will say this, half of those times happened because I lied to myself about my level of preparation. I want you to hear that again. I lied to myself about my level of preparation. It takes more preparation than you think. Your relationship with your material needs to move past excitement, through boredom, through doubt, through resistance, and maybe a fight or three, so you can land in solid connection with the story you're telling. It needs to live in your body so that when you're in front of people and your brain sounds the threat to life alarms, you can trust your preparation. Of course, this also comes with reliance on your technique. So that's why a trusted teacher with good ears and a kind heart who can give you tools you understand how to use on your own is crucial. You're probably going to mess up in front of folks. You are probably going to mess up in front of folks. You'll crack, you'll go up on a lyric, you'll miss a great moment that you planned to craft into your storytelling. You have to live through all this stuff. Then you realize you didn't die. Of course, it's super unpleasant, but you'll realize what you need to shore up in the future. And the number of times I thought, so it's winter and the furnace is running, so sorry about the sound. I'm just going to keep going because it's cold and I can't turn the furnace off. So, but the number of times I thought I was prepared because I understood something with my noggin brain, I had not mapped it into my body. I hadn't proven to myself that I could actually fully execute it. That number of times is painfully high. And I learned from those experiences, and I learned that the amount of preparation I need is a lot higher. So there you go. It's preparation and skill building. You can train efficiently with effective tools, yes, but you cannot rush the flow of this. You have to commit to your artistry, show up, and let plenty of nights of sleep organize this all into your neurons. And this is learning how to cook well, how to make a delicious meal and invite folks in. Stage presence, or just general presence, that comes from a welcome in, not a striving out. When your guests arrive, you enjoy them and you serve it up slow and steady. If the beef bourguignon gets burned, you know where you can order pizza from. So that's technical adjustments, where you can order pizza from. How can you technically adjust? You make a nice dessert too, serve that up. So people remember the beginning, how they're welcomed, and the end, that dessert. Yeah, I hope all these metaphors are making sense. So you say bye, you clean up, you have a nice glass of something and head to bed and repeat. So there's no secret or gimmick. You can't replace artistry and craft that's cultivated with love over time. And you can't suddenly get great at serving up your soup without a shaky ladle, without throwing several dinner parties. So that's preps and reps. There are folks who'd love to feast on your particular nourishing meal, serving up love, connection, healing, and comfort. And you get to sing or tell stories. You get to play a part in helping us all heal. It's a big deal and we need it. So get in here with me and let's do this. And if you'd like to learn more about the one truth that has proven to be one of the most important tools I have as a singer, here is a video for you. It is a deeper dive into the tools I learned from working with Betty Buckley. Not only does it make singing satisfying, rich, and wholehearted, it's got huge benefits in life. So your presence in the world will shift, your relationships and professional connections will flourish too. So click there to learn the silent superpower that will transform your auditions and your overall life. And please remember, there is only one you, and somebody would love to hear the story only you can sing. Love much from me and the furnace. See you next time.